I've previously spoken about the reasons to protect free speech and mentioned that the most important reason that speech should never be restricted is because speech, or the ideas we exchange through speech, are a crucial aspect of our perception of reality. The reason I say this is because reality is not just the physical world around us, it's also the imaginary concepts that we all agree to treat as reality. This is clear when we examine the human ability to create an imagined reality out of words. Let me explain what I mean. Social cooperation has always been the key to human survival, and one of the most unique abilities humans developed about 70,000 years ago, when we still lived in tribes of 100 people, was the ability to gossip. And this ability to exchange information about other humans helped us identify who we could trust, and therefore allowed us to efficiently cooperate with one another to work towards a common goal. But the limitation of gossip is that humans can only keep tabs on about 50 to 150 people, because even a group as small as 50 people has 1,225 one-on-one relationships, and that's already a lot to keep track of. So what took us from tribes of 150 people to civilizations of thousands was our ability to create collective fiction, which is stories that are not based on physical reality, but which we all collectively pretend is reality. This ability to share stories and invent myths which everyone treated as reality made it possible for a large number of strangers to cooperate effectively towards a common goal. And it's quite literally one of the key factors that turned humans from a regular animal in the wild into the super intelligent species that we are today. And we need to bear in mind that so much of our lives is based on stories and our common belief in myths. So many things that we take for granted are actually nothing more than figments of our collective imagination. And collectively held beliefs aren't just something we previously came up with and can now get rid of, because they allow us to share a common reality. Stories of gods and demons are the most popular ones, but let's examine this a little further. If we think of a school, a hospital, and a hotel, it would be awfully reductive to say that we're just thinking of three buildings. Because although the physical reality is that these are three buildings, in our common imagined reality, one is a place to learn, another is a place to receive healthcare, and the last is a place for shelter. And in this case, our imagined reality, which is the distinct functions and purposes of the buildings, holds more significance to us than the physical reality of the buildings themselves. Therefore, our commonly held beliefs are integral to how each of us perceives the world. You probably have vivid memories of your school times, and you probably have friends that share these memories from school. But what is a school exactly? It's something that doesn't really exist in the physical world, but is a figment of our collective imagination, otherwise known as a social construct. And schools are a social construct of institutions, but money, nations, and human rights are also social constructs. And as sophisticated as we modern humans think we are, this is nothing different from the myths of gods and demons that were created by ancient, primitive humans. And since the cognitive revolution of 70,000 years ago, humans have a dual reality. One of trees, rivers, mountains, and animals, which is the physical reality, and the other of gods, money, nations, and human rights, which is an imagined reality. And it's easy to see how these imagined realities that are just stories and narratives which form our collective beliefs actually influence our behavior and shape our perception of reality just as much as the physical world around us does. This is what I mean when I say we create an imagined reality out of words. And now that we've gone through the importance of collectively held beliefs, let's explore what free speech has to do with this. We should recognize that most of our disagreements and most of the wars are not fought over disagreements about the physical world, but over our inability to agree on a story or a common belief. Whether it's religion, borders, money, or national pride, these disagreements challenge our perception of reality. And tyrants and governments have, for a long time, understood the impact that collectively held beliefs have on people's perception of the world and their behavior. So whoever shapes the collectively held beliefs can manipulate and control people's behavior. This is why propaganda and cultural narratives exist and are so powerful. This is why tyrants want to control the education system. This is why they want to curtail speech and ideas that they disagree with. This is why platforms like YouTube and Twitter, or X, are being so heavily regulated by governments. It's because collectively held beliefs are what form cultural narratives. And these narratives influence our perception of reality. And tyrants want to be the only ones that can shape the narrative, and therefore influence people's perception of the world. And the simplest way they can do this is by maintaining a monopoly on what people are allowed to hear by silencing any dissenting opinions. But unfortunately for them, now, because of independent media, everyone can participate in any narrative they want to, and therefore anyone can shape what people believe. And there isn't one or a small group of publishers who everyone has to listen to in order to get information. This is what tyrants fear more than anything. They fear that the average person is no longer beholden to a few privileged people who shape the narrative by only spreading the messages that are approved by the tyrants. They fear that one person who disagrees with what the tyrants want everyone to accept as the narrative can start a chain reaction by coming up with an alternative narrative that everyone believes is more beneficial than the narrative of the tyrant. This is why tyrants want less people to be able to spread information. And they do their best to malign people that spread information which challenges their narrative by falsely accusing their detractors of spreading hatred and lies, and labeling them racist, sexist, or phobic of some minority group. And they claim that the people opposing them are harming the average person by deceiving them, when in fact, the only people who are harmed by the spread of information are the people trying to control the narrative, because they no longer have a monopoly over the accepted realm of ideas. More importantly though, the people trying to control the narrative by silencing others who they claim spread harmful ideas think that the average person is so stupid that they shouldn't even be allowed to decide for themselves what ideas they want to hear or choose to believe. This is why John Stuart Mill called restricting speech a double wrong, because it not only prevents individuals from expressing their ideas, but also denies others the opportunity to hear and consider those ideas. This is why we shouldn't allow anyone to decide what speech we can or cannot hear, and we should never underestimate the effect that free speech, or the lack thereof, has in shaping reality. Because when a lot of minds believe the same narrative, it becomes a collectively held belief, or imagined reality, whether or not it conforms with the objective physical reality. And it all comes down to this: more information and more opinions, no matter how harmful some of them are, is always better than less information.